Have you ever brought your magic to Walt Disney World like, hey, we came to play? Did you tip your tiara to a Creole princess or get goofy officially? When we come through, it's true magic, because we came to play at Walt Disney World Resort.
Reese's peanut butter cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Hey, yo, what's good? Check it out. This your boy, Elder Sensei, one half of the legendary Artifacts. You are right now in tune to my man, Tim Einenkel, at the library on rapstation.com. Let's get it popping, y'all. Artifacts. Peace, Elder Sensei. I'm out.
I'm rising like the vapors from the dank. Off the mirror in my pocket, had to break it for a shank. What you think? Walk the plank is my motherfucking attitude. Right hand on the wheel, up the window, leaning to the left.
Boots Riley, the front man for the Coup and Street Sweeper Social Club, joins me today on the library on rapstation.com. Thanks for joining me, Boots Riley.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
So, no problem. I want to start out by if you could just tell us what your definition of revolutionary music is, just for the listeners that might not know.
I believe that the kind of society I want to make is one where the people democratically control the wealth that we create with our labor. That means that the working class has to take control of the system, and in order for that to happen, people are going to have to collectively run this economic system, and we're going to have, in order to do that, we're going to have to take physical control of the facilities that we work at, right, and rearrange the way that the profit flows. And in order to do that, people are going to have to understand the class nature of the system. People are going to have to understand that exploitation is the primary contradiction of capitalism, not consumerism, but exploitation is the primary contradiction. Once you understand that, then you understand the power that the person that's working at a job actually has. And so the key is not just to understand this relationship, but the key is also to feel powerful enough to change this relationship and to understand that, you know, the workers can withhold labor and change the situation through just that. And to understand that through examples, not just through hearing about it theoretically, but to see examples of that. So where the music comes in, for music to be revolutionary, it has to be music that encourages the withholding of labor as a tool for social change. Of course, in an organized way. I don't mean just quit your job. Right. But you know, it has to encourage. It has to not just be about anger and frustration. It has to highlight the actual possibilities and highlight the actual power that we have. And when you do that, often you're going to be optimistic. And so that's one reason why the Coup's music is often like confused with party music, or is often seen as being happy, because it's optimistic. That doesn't mean that we're not involved right now in a deadly system. That just means that we know we can change it.
You've said in a past interview that what is important to you about music/art is that it feels emotionally true to you at first. So it doesn't mean, like, if you hear revolutionary music, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it. And there's also music that's non-revolutionary music that you said you like.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how do you know when something is emotionally true? I mean, for yourself, what are you hearing in the music that you're loving?
It feels passionate. I don't really know that. It doesn't feel. It's not a technical thing,
right?
You know, it's and it's not removed. You know, a lot of times, and I think, I made a name for myself making, witty, very involved, or clever lyrics. Like a lot of times lyricists are considered to be lyricists because of being clever and clever in specific ways that have to do with similes, which a lot of times those similes are called metaphors, but they're not. They're similes, and sometimes with metaphor, and doing these real technical things that actually subtract you, separate you from the actual emotion that you're feeling, and it doesn't speak to some simple truths. But what it does is it kind of gets that, oh shit, like, oh, he's technically good, he can do this and do that, and it's like the difference between watching gymnastics and watching dancing, right?
Right.
Gymnastics is technically, they can sometimes do a lot more than dancers can do.
Right.
But dancers feel what they're doing, they're doing, and so in order to be that technical and that clever and that witty, we're just thinking about how to impress people, which is, there's something to be said for that. Whatever, a lot of what we do is to impress people. There's nothing wrong with that. But, if I'm trying to make a piece of art that really, really puts forward how I feel, I'm not going to want to be disengaged from it enough to just stick with the clever, witty stuff. One reason that I don't like spoken word and, a lot of times I never believed written poets. Like, I didn't get into I read a lot of poetry, but I didn't get into it because I didn't believe the poet. Oh, yeah. I could tell they were trying to impress me. Right? Like, you don't really feel this. You're writing something so that I can, so that I can feel that you're a good writer. That's two different things. I mean, think about the music that really moves you, like the singing songs or whatever, the soul, the funk, even the pop and the rock music. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh wow, their lyrics are so clever, Like people are writing stuff and you can hear them thinking. And that's cool. That's one sort of way. And that's something I've done a lot of. But I think I moved on to actual songwriting.
Right. I actually want to go in the last album, Sorry to Bother You. It seems like you take on personas and kind of like a magical reality. And I think a good example of this is in the song We Got a Lot to Teach You, Cassius Green. I was wondering, I was wondering whether your broader exposure to kind of new audiences and new experiences in your career have shaped the stories you kind of feel more confident in telling.
No, I think it's just trying to tell new stories. Right? You just you like. I'm not gonna want to write another Fat Cats and Bigger Fish. I'm not gonna want to write another Me and Chief the 10th and the 79 Granada last night. I want to write new stories that have different plot lines. That song is also supposed to be a dream that a character in the film version of Sorry to Bother You. I wrote a script, screenplay that actually is coming out on McSweeney's Quarterly at the end of August.
Oh, right.
And it anyway, and so the main character is Cassius Green, and in that he's having it doesn't happen in the movie, but the song is supposed to be a nightmare that he has. However, but it's a story in and of itself, and so I don't know. I think what motivates me more is trying to just be excited about what I'm doing. And for me to be excited about what I'm doing, I have to do new things. I have to challenge myself. I have to explore new textures and storylines and ways of writing.
As the monster stood before his colleagues, he sang angelically and wiped the blood off his fangs. The papers on the boardroom table were stained from corpses piled on top of them slain. One monster yelled at me, "You've got the brains," and traced his claw along the table's wood grain. It smelled like leather, old spice and pain. His assistant, when yanked by choke chain, explained.
I want to actually go in. I want to ask you about a song you just mentioned, "Me and Jesus," the pimp in a 79 Granada last night off of Steal This Album. One, I think it's an amazing song, but also I think the video is equally as amazing. There's always been a sense for me that you're kind of following the rap tradition of kind of like a Slick Rick. Is my sense correct there?
Well, I mean, in those songs, definitely, you can't do a storytelling rap without studying Slick Rick. He had long storytelling raps that were done in ways that made you interested in them, not just for to stick along with the story, but he definitely made that very popular. Him and Ice Cube are probably who I would say are the best storytellers in rap. So those two definitely were on my mind with that one. And then another storytelling one from Pick a Bigger Weapon was We Are the Ones, and I even put on a fake British accent in honor of Slick Rick on that one. So, yeah.
Cool.
Those are definitely influences. But again, whenever you're doing any of that stuff, the goal is not to copy, but to take it somewhere else.
Right.
And so, so a lot of what went into that song, for instance, is the fact that, when we got our record deal the first time, I was in school for filmmaking, and making a movie was cost a lot of money. I could just write songs for a lot cheaper than that, and so writing that song, writing Me and Jesus, the Pimp in the 79 Granada last night allowed me to put a lot of literary and references to cinema in the way that I told the story. And then I also, again, trying to take it to another level. The story actually has a lot of layers to it, a lot of metaphoric layers to the thing, and a lot of wordplay. And it has nothing to do with religion, although a woman took Monique Morris, she took the storyline and made it into a novel called Too Beautiful for Words, and she had that focus more on religion. But that wasn't what I was talking about in the song.
Cool. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other records that I really have liked from the group. Tiffany Hall and Violet, two different tracks, but they really stand out to me in terms of, because it sounds like you're really addressing a person. Are these tracks about one person in general, or are they meant to be told as a story about a bunch of people you've kind of encountered in your life?
So Tiffany Hall was actually a person that I went to school with, went to San Francisco State. Chuck probably doesn't know this, but she also was part of the crew that would help bring Chuck to San Francisco State to speak. She's a real person, and as soon as I heard that she died, the melody just hit me, and the words, the melody and the words of the chorus hit me, and then I made part of it, and I wasn't gonna do it because it just seemed I don't know, it seemed strange to me to make a song. It seemed a little opportunist to me that to make a song from this tragedy. And I talked to her mother about it, and her mother just asked me to please finish the song. And so that part even made it into the lyrics. So, yeah, that was real. Violet is a story about one person. Violet is a story about a prostitute.
Oh, okay.
And it's not a real person, though.
Oh, okay.
So you know, and so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I asked because I interviewed the Bay Area MC Locksmith about a track he did on his newest album, and it's like addressing a relationship. But what he said was interesting was that it's a combination of relationships. It's not just one relationship in general. It's just kind of like it's told as
I mean, I think that's a normal songwriter's thing to do. Is that you're building a reality based on things that you know about how the world works.
Right.
Barry White, was asked, was asked, about his songs, and whether he really had relationships that were as good as the songs that, that's what the songs represented. He was like, no, like these are about people that I wish I was in relationships with.
Oh, wow.
So,
I want to continue on. When you rhyme over, and this is in quotes, simple beats, and not to say they're simple in terms of like easy to make, because I don't think they are, but more in terms of like there's not too much going on, and it really highlights your voice, kind of, i.e., Wear Clean Draws, Violet, and even Heaven Tonight. Is this because you want your lyrics to really stand out more than any others in any other tracks? Or it just so happens that the beat.
I don't really have a formula. It's just kind of like the song. I do what works in the song, and I don't like go. There are some songs that are more busy, like that do tell stories, like Now Later that has a lot of stuff going on in it. Mine has a lot of stuff going on in it, I think it's just, I take it song by song with what works. Sometimes I just want to emote that particular thing. Sometimes it might be that we had a lot more in it, and then that got taken. Then we took it out because, we stripped it down to what it really just needed to be. And so, whatever choices I make will have to do with the fact of what I want to get across in that song. But, there's no formula to it. There's nothing where I say, okay, this song needs to be this way. So there, Violet had drums in it and had a bunch of other instruments in it. And so now with that, we broke it down to there's a quartet in it, a string quartet, there's a French horn, a bass, and an electric guitar. And so that, I just do what works. And my idea of what works, I think, is different because the truth is that the Coup has never had a hit. So for me to have a formula that I stick to, would just really not be scientific.
Right.
So I make the stuff that feels good. Right. And, and I'm open to, because I was started out as a producer, I would listen to thousands of records and enjoy it. Like, we would just go to the 50-cent bin, to the dollar bin, and just buy records based on the cover or based on the name that sounded good. And I learned music through that. and listened to a lot of stuff when we were first searching. We would be searching for samples, and so then I got into doing that, and then learned how to like. So, for instance, this last album, a lot of the songs are started out by me just making a bass line on a keyboard, or some chords or whatever, you know. And that with the last album too, with Think a Bigger Weapon, that happened a lot too. And then my friend Damien will come add some chords in on this or that, or you know, or on the guitar. So you know, a lot of it came organically, but the education around that, and the openness to all these kinds of music came from being a producer who had to study what these other records did to figure out what I wanted to do. You know. All
right. You mentioned before, you said the Coup has never had a big hit, so obviously you don't follow a certain formula. But what I was wondering is, especially with the current state of commercial radio and the chances of the Coup being played, you know, are slim to none. It seems like, right? Do you guys still hold out hope that you guys will be played on commercial radio, or are you kind of just content?
No, because here's the thing: we have been played on commercial radio one time in 2 different cities with Fat Cats and Bigger Fish. This girl Mona Lisa Murray, somehow, I don't know how she did it, but she got us on Power 106.
Wow.
Power 106 was playing us at least every couple hours, right? It was to the point where I would get tired of it when I went to L.A. This is in L.A. Right. And in L.A., while they were playing us, we also were played on Chicago at the same time. I forget what the First Lady, I forget the name of her radio show, her station, but that station and L.A. played us. In those 2 markets where we got played, each market sold 5,000 Coup albums per week.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So the point is, why wouldn't we? Why, you know, that proves what would happen if we got played on the radio.
Right, of course, yeah.
But we didn't get played on the radio, and part of it is the fact that we had connections to real organizations, you know, to real organizations, so that, because I think that's the part of it that music is missing. That's the thing, is that, you know, you have to be connected to organizations and campaigns, because otherwise it's just ideas. Otherwise it's just like professors talking about revolution. That's no better than what artists are doing, you know, because, you know, we're not connected to anything that people can connect to in a real way. But, you know, the Coup, what we've tried to do is maintain connections with organizations and campaigns that once folks like our music, then you know, it makes it easier for organizations and campaigns to get folks involved.
I want to kind of change gears a little bit and talk about your kind of what influences you in music and your writing process. So the first question is, how, if at all, have your politics changed over the years? And if your politics have changed, how has that influenced your music?
Let's see. I don't think my politics have really changed much over the years. I think that a lot of people misconstrue a lot of our politics to fit into what, you know, what they thought it was supposed to be. So, for instance, I mean, people listen to music. Well, our first single came out, Not Yet Free. And it was very slow and low. Mm-hmm. And the reviewers said, this is more gangster rap from Oakland, right? Because they heard the beat and decided just based on that. Similarly, when people see certain imagery or hear certain phrases, they you know, people thought we were a nationalist group, you know, and so, you know, similarly, people think that the Black Panthers were a nationalist group.
Right.
And they weren't. They were an internationalist group. They were communists, right?
Right.
And so people had certain assumptions about what we were talking about. Also, what we've always talked about is that the working class must overthrow the ruling class. What that means is that there's a certain methodology, there's a certain strategy to organizing that because we use the term revolutionary, people think that means that we're down for that. That means that we think anything that has a revolutionary aesthetic is effective, and so they're like, oh, your politics have changed. No, this is I've always been about strategy and program, and that's what we put forward. Some of my music has been about people envisioning getting to a point where it's about the battle in the street. But like I always say, like I said in one song, in Ride the Fence, bring the people with you. That's the protocol. Right. It says, I'm down for running up in Congress saying, fuck it all, but bring the people with you. That's the protocol. So bringing the people with you, that means doing things that get people involved in stuff, not just showing that you are the revolutionary and that what you're doing is the answer. No, that means organizing at your place of work. And that means starting with ways that people can get involved right here and now. Because, so a lot of folks have put their idea, what they were told in school that a movement was about, or what they were told, what they were told that we were about. They put that onto our politics, but there's not really any place that people can, so I'm sure I've changed. I've changed what I think. But in the sense that I've changed, it's been that I think more is possible in a shorter time than I thought was possible before.
Anti-trust, anti-gun, bitch on bus, anti-corporate date, anti-my essence, anti-snorting them, anti-depressants, but I'm not pro-popping them. I'm pro-vocative and pro-stopping them FBI operatives who professional at black man pounds and hand you a sentence that you can't pronounce. I'm also anti-narco, anti-vice, 911 marks the anti-Christ, they anti-social point M16, cause I'm anti the anti-mugging machine, proletarian, funkadelic, parliamentarian, pro-revolt, in the 21st century, pro-running up in Congress saying, fuck it all, but bring the people with you, that's the protocol, this be the drill for like jailbreaks, the whole world is anti-United Snakes, so check it out, anticipate the antivenom, and move your antibody to this revolution rhythm, we gon' be fucking with them, pro-union, but most laws they bite, anti-motherfuckers, what's crossing the strike, take a look around and be for or against, but you can't do this shit if you riding the fence, ride the fence, now you don't really wanna ride the fence, now do you really wanna ride the fence, or would you really wanna ride the fence, don't ride the fence, ride the fence, now you don't really wanna ride the fence, no, would you really wanna ride the fence, or would you really wanna ride the fence, don't ride the fence. I'm anti-up in your dollars with telekinesis. I done tried every day and that shit decreases. Anti-crime bill pieces. We need cash and that's the anti-thesis. I'm pro-overthrow of the hip-hop nation. Pro-laying low till I'm off probation. Pro-people control of the cash of corporations. Pro-prophylactic yet procreation. Anti-watered down drinks in fancy cups. Anti-promoters who don't ante-up, but I'm not anti-club. I know that power is the most effective anti-drug. I'm pro-Zapatista, pro-Cuba, Viva. Polarizer saying up la migra. Policia say asesina. Let me show you what I mean. I'm anti-Republican and Democratic. If they self-destruct, that's anticlimactic. Tired of being honey like an antelope. Take the system by the throat, that's the antidote. So I pose a proposition. Take a look, be in support of opposition. To be proactive, proceed with confidence. Cause you know that you can't change this shit by riding the fence. Ride the fence. Now you don't really wanna ride the fence. Now do you really wanna ride the fence? Or would you really wanna ride the fence? Don't ride the fence.
Reese's peanut butter cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.